Hi everyone, and welcome to today's reading. If this is the first time that you're seeing me, I am the Hermit Tarot and this is my YouTube channel. A massive happy new year to everybody. I hope that you were able to wrap up 2022 with some loving people around you, some loved ones around you, and hopefully not getting too down in the feels. It's a mixed sort of energy as we wrap up the year. I know it's not always a good feeling for a lot of people, so I hope that the end of the year did bring you peace and that you were able to feel comforted, and the fact that the new year could equal new opportunities and hopefully new beginnings. If it was a difficult time for you, I'm sending you so much love. I'm not ignorant in the sense of I know that it is a mixed feelings type of vibe. So let's literally hope that this new year does offer us the best versions of ourselves and the kind of opportunities that we've been hopefully manifesting and actively working towards. With that being said, I do want to introduce today's video. We're going to be doing a pick a group tarot reading, as you can see. I just want a quick disclosure. I am Australian. I film all my videos in Australia. I live in the northernmost part of Australia and it's very, very hot this time of year. It's impossible for me to do this video without some form of circulation or ventilation. I do have my ceiling fan going. If it does disturb the audio a lot, I'm going to do my best post-production to scrub it out, but if there is some noise in the background, it is my fan keeping me alive. I literally would suffocate if I did not have it on. So that's what's going on. I'm not going to die for the sake of your audio quality. I'm sorry, but no. So, in today's Pick a Group Tarot reading, we are asking Spirit, what is your ego trying to tell you? Now, I haven't done a video like this before. I've done higher self videos. I've even done like their higher self of like a person you're interested. What are their higher self trying to tell you? But I've never done an ego reading. And I'm really curious because I don't know about... I can't speak for everybody else, but I do know that sometimes when I'm personally trying to focus so much on my soul work and my higher self's vision and where things are going on a more grand scheme, I'm neglecting my ego self, my human self, and the experiences that I agreed to have as a human being here in this lifetime. So I'm hoping that this reading can be very insightful for you, can hopefully paint a bigger picture of why certain things are unfolding or why you feel impulsive or passionate about certain things, even if it feels contradictory to what your soul is craving. I'm hoping that this kind of reading just really paints that detailed picture of what's going on for you in this human experience you call life. In this reading, we're going to cover how does your ego's point of view conflict with your soul's point of view, and we're going to summarize your reading by getting advice from your higher self as well, just to tie it all together. There will be an extended reading for each of the three groups. We're going to cover the extended reading topics in your individual reading, so you do have to pick a group first before you get your extended, and there will be more about that at the end of your group's reading. So without further ado, let me introduce these three groups to you. And the first group, we have the Animals Orien Tarot deck. The way that you will be selecting a group is by selecting a tarot deck today. I do offer a 1-minute meditation if you need more time or more assistance intuitively selecting a group. That 1-minute meditation will play after this clip. So if you feel drawn to this Orion's Animal Tarot deck based on what you are seeing, feeling, or thinking as I show you these cards, then you will be a part of Group 1's reading. Group 2, you have my Inkromancy tarot deck. Inkromancy comes out with a new deck whenever they can. I believe they have a few new versions since I've acquired this deck, but if you do like it, it's on their website. This Inkromancy deck is inspired by tattoo artists, which you can sort of tell from the backs. I'm not going to show you the fronts of the cards because I really want you to just focus on the imagery at the back of the deck. I don't want you to get distracted by whatever tarot cards might be at the top of the deck. So if you feel drawn to this silver foiled tarot deck, the Inkromancy tarot deck, you'll be a part of Group 2's reading today. And last but not least, we have Group 3 over here with the Dreamy Moons tarot deck. So Dreamy Moons is an Australian-based tarot creator. I don't even want to put her in the tarot reader box because she does a lot of work for us as readers, creating beautiful oracle decks, and this was her first go at a tarot deck. Very typical Dreamy Moon style with the foil on the card. We have gold foil on this card and sun imagery. If you feel drawn to this tarot deck based on what I'm showing you, you'll be a part of group 3's reading. Now, if you do need more time selecting a group, please pause the video now and give yourself more time to feel drawn to a group. If you want that help to tune into your intuition and intuitively select a group, just let the video play and join me in the 1-minute meditation that will be playing after this clip. When you know which of these 3 groups you're feeling most drawn to, click on your timestamp in the description box. Also check out your bonus songs for additional messages and join me in your reading. So the first thing I want you to do with me is to take in 2 deep mindful breaths. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, and in, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4. Now I want you to focus on clearing your mind. It's natural to have thoughts racing at this point. I want you to embrace each thought as it comes and let it slip as quickly as it came in. Focus on clearing and balancing out these thoughts so that they come and go without a desire to be attached to them. And now, with a rested mind, I want you to think of the first group that comes to your mind. It may be a number, it may be an object that I showed you. It could be a specific color. It could be a feeling that you felt when I showed you each of the groups today. When you are ready and when you feel confident, select your group and join me in your reading. Hi Group 1 and welcome to your reading. If you chose the Orion's Animal Tarot deck, then this is going to be your pick a group reading with me today. Welcome everybody, so lovely to have you here. While you're here, I just want to take a quick second to tune in with our collective energy. Spirit, please tune me in to Group 1's energy today. Please help me provide them with the most honest, clear, accurate messages that will be helpful and supportive to their journeys through love, life, and everything in between. Please let there be peace, clarity, and consistency in today's reading so that we can get those honest messages. So Group 1, we're asking Spirit today, what is your ego trying to tell you? We're going to be covering a few key topics, including how does this conflict with your soul's intentions and what advice does your higher self have? As I mentioned in your intro, there will be an extended reading, but we'll talk more about that at the end. I want to start your reading by getting into that main message. What is your ego trying to tell you right now? For my Group 1s, what is their ego trying to tell them? You know what? I feel really called to get a crystal for your reading. And I think that throughout this reading, it would be important for you to just focus on that crystal. Focusing on it can maybe help me energetically tune into messages for you. I feel called to take the quartz crystal for you and this amethyst crystal. So whichever one of those two draws you in most, please focus on those crystals while I shuffle your cards. Group 1, please Spirit, what is Group 1's ego trying to tell them? What is Group 1's ego trying to tell them right now? Wow. Okay, that's little stories, so we're going to get into that next, but we have Judgment coming out for you first in the upright position. Excuse me, it is reversed. In the reverse position. We also have the Knight of Cups coming out for you. And why is this camera so wonky? It looks straight for you, but it is so wonky for me. There we go. We have the Two of Pentacles coming out upright. And we have the Four of Cups as well in the reverse position. Okay. At the back of the deck, we have the Chariot reversed. So what is your ego trying to tell you? First off, I feel like your ego is really trying, excuse me, I'm going to move this up a little bit because it's annoying me. I feel like this isn't the best way to show you these cards, so excuse me. There we go. That's better. First off, I feel like your ego is really craving connection right now. I feel like your ego really wants more emotional connection, wants more love, wants more opportunities to love. Your ego may be specifically eyeing off a romantic suitor right now, and maybe the opportunity to take things further with this person. Your ego is afraid of being rejected, however. Your ego has fears about where bold actions will take them. And your ego is also more inclined to want to be pursued instead of being the chaser. I think that when it comes to love right now, your ego is hoping for a renewal of some sort of love situation in which you're getting the opportunity to confess or receive a confession of feelings. And I feel like the reason why this is highlighted for you, Group 1, is because right now there is this strong need to feel love and to be loved. And it may be craving love from places that it has previously been rejected. Your ego may be craving love from places in which there were perceived endings and separations, or things had not really turned out to be as revolutionary as we had hoped the first time around. Your ego is craving a rebirth in such loving connection so that we can repaint a future that is more loving, more intimate, more connected. I feel like right now there is a strong feeling in your ego to simply be loved and to feel love. But outside of that, your ego is also craving reinvention in general, and it seems to think that certain people can help it reinvent right now. Your ego is craving the opportunity to see and be differently, especially if you're watching this at the turning point of the new year. Within those first pivotal weeks of January, your ego is craving new experiences, new ideas, and the opportunity to live outside of the box that it felt trapped in towards the end of 2022. Your ego is seeking radical thinking, radical beliefs, and radical opportunities around fun, free, loving people. I feel like your ego may desire new information, which could lead to physical transformation. Your ego is wanting to peer at whether the grass is greener on the other side at the moment. And so you may find yourself spending a lot of time on social media, examining other people's lives and what they're currently going through. I feel like your ego is really seeking new friendships and wanting friendships with people who are a part of this radical new belief or thought that your ego may have picked up. You are my group who is more likely to embrace a new way of thinking that could lead to a new version of spirituality or individuality. I feel like there is a lot of focus on self right now, but it's not coming from a genuinely selfish way. It's coming from a how can others add to me and to what I want for myself. It feels like you subconsciously are craving inspiration from other people, using those around you as muses for what could be the newest, best, shiniest version of yourself. It feels like for a lot of you, your ego is craving new acquaintances and to be associated with people who you think are cool and fit in with this new way of believing and thinking. It's as though by association you are trying to elevate your own social status, and so you may be finding yourself gravitating towards people that you believe are exciting and cool and will look good on your social media accounts. this. I want to caution you here because your ego is also craving people who look certainly like a certain way, especially in a social media standpoint. Maybe they have very aesthetically pleasing social grids on their accounts, but when it comes to the substance in their brains, they are a little bit regressive in terms of the patterns of behavior that they exhibit, and in terms of where you are at in your journey. Your ego is craving this sort of social validation at the expense of a mental progression. So just be aware of that. Without being rude, it feels like you're more than likely to kind of gravitate towards people that may impress your social media followers instead of people that will impress your current experience in terms of wisdom, in terms of like where you're at intellectually. I feel like you crave some pretty interesting conversations, but for lack of a better word, it's the kind of conversations that have you thinking differently. I feel like your ego is trying to be very open-minded right now. And so as I'm saying this about the people around you, it may be hard to hear because you may be able to currently see the good in a lot of people, regardless of what they've been through or what they've been stuck in or what cycles they keep kind of finding themselves in. I feel like this group is really trying to be kind and open-minded about those around you, but you are either subconsciously or consciously gravitating towards people for how they make you look in a public setting. Outside of that, with the Knight of Cups here, your ego is also craving or trying to tell you that you have a lot more opportunities in love than you think you do. And I want to say this even for those who are in relationships. There are other opportunities to progress forward in a romantic connection than what you are currently giving yourself the opportunity to see. It feels like a lot of the radical energy that you're dipping your toe into and kind of feeling out through your ego's needs and wants and cravings is also exposing you to other forms of connection. And I think you may surprise yourself in that a lot of you could find a tie between your love life and your friendship circle. And others of you could find a tie between your love life and a friend of a friend, an acquaintance, or this new outside of the box way of thinking and where it takes you. I believe with this Knight of Cups, your ego is wanting to pursue a very specific love interest. And for that, I do have some specific messages over here. We have the Ace of Cups coming out for you in the upright position. We also have the Four of Wands upright, and we have the Ace of Swords reversed. Your ego doesn't want you to make mistakes that you made in the past. Your ego wants you to find stability in love. Your ego wants you to recognize self-worth and what you actually want, not for what you're willing to settle for. Your ego is craving someone who isn't afraid to extend their love to you. And your ego also wants to feel comforted in the fact that if you were to open up to the person you're interested in, you wouldn't be rejected. If you are dealing with someone who makes you feel uncertain and unsure and unworthy for fear of rejection from them, then I believe you are dealing with the wrong person, because I just have to throw this out there. Your ego is saying right now you need emotional stability from the people you interact with. And I just saw 1111 on the camera. You need emotional surety, and you need to feel like you're in a stable place with those you love and who are around you. I think your ego is trying to focus on harmony and emotionally intimate connections. You're in a peacekeeping energy right now, and your ego is really trying to make sure that you don't say or do anything that you will regret with this Ace of Swords reversed. With that being said, the Ace of Cups is saying that your ego is developing feelings for someone in your close circle, and your ego is hoping for new opportunities in love very, very soon as well. Either to progress a current connection or to ensure that you are having the opportunity to progress a connection with someone you're interested in. I can see you maybe subconsciously wanting more time with someone specifically, and then later realizing, oh wow, like I have feelings for this person. But for all of you, love is a common theme here. Connection is a common theme for this group. Your ego is really craving connection. Next, with the Two of Pentacles, I feel like your ego is craving balance and more of this and that, not just this, that. Your ego is craving a balanced routine in which you are able to work hard and play hard, in which you are able to have your cake and kind of eat it as well, you know? It feels like your ego is craving more room for pleasure as well as the mundane maintenance that life requires. The Two of Pentacles tells me your ego wants things to be balanced, but they also don't mind if it's a little bit busy. In fact, this group may be prone to distractions right now. You may not want a lot of downtime or a lot of alone time. It feels like your ego is craving distractions and a consistent schedule. I think if you have a lot of time to yourself, you'll feel bored. And also you'll kind of hyperfixate on where you've been instead of where you're going. Your ego is trying to expose itself to new things, new people, and take in as much as it can right now without feeling like it's missing out or losing anything. And that's where this next card comes into play as well. Your ego isn't really trying to prioritize a long-term savings plan right now when it comes to money. I'm sorry if that is your intention, because your ego is very much trying to stay present and trying to keep the ball rolling. And for that, I feel like your ego is overspending at times for the sake of not missing out on opportunities. You may have the tendency to feel FOMO, that feeling of missing out, if you do not keep up with your acquaintances, your social network, and the things that you're getting invited to. It feels like this group is more inclined to say yes, 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 instead of no, I'm actually on a budget and I'm saving right now. Your ego is more prone to kind of think about today and tomorrow rather than the next 6 months right now. And for that reason, I think that your ego is very much trying to seize the day, carpe diem, and seize the opportunities it's being presented. You may have had to face the feeling of missing out very recently, in which you had compromised something for something else and it did not pay off in the long run, to the point where now you're just trying to make sure that you say yes and you seize every opportunity you're being given. Your ego is also trying to take advantage of a situation that already felt like you had missed out and you're being given the chance to do it all again. This may be one specific situation, or it could feel like a circumstance in which you're having a do-over altogether. It kind of gives me the vibe of when you're later in life trying to get healthier and you're being able to experience things that you weren't able to when you were younger, so it feels like you're catching up. Or when you have a child when you're really young and then they leave the house and you're still quite young and you get the chance to experience things and catch up on things that you had compromised when you were younger. It feels like your ego is trying to catch up on things that it felt like it missed out, and it's doing this because it has experienced that before and it doesn't want to experience it again. Your ego is very much trying to just stay accountable for the present situation, and even if you have intentions for the long term, I need to stress that your ego is in a little bit of a this for that energy of compromise and balance, and trying to just make sure that you aren't getting stuck in the cycle of working to live. You're trying to, or living to work, excuse me, you're trying to work to live. So let's have a look at how this conflicts with your soul. Spirit, how does this conflict with Group 1's soul right now? How does Group 1's ego's desires conflict with their soul? We have the Six of Wands, obviously reversed. I could see that coming from a mile away. We have the King of Cups reversed. How does this conflict with Group 1's soul? We have the Magician. We also have the Sun. And at the back of the deck, what have we got? The Page of Wands reversed. Okay, so when it comes to your soul, Your soul is saying, slow down. We've got time for everything. We don't need to rush this journey, and we don't need to feel like we need to eclipse cycles that we haven't yet outgrown. Some of you are running away from something that needs to be addressed here before you can take a look at the bigger picture. You're trying to experience things that you may not be entirely ready to experience. And what I mean by that is you're also revisiting old experiences because you think you need more from them. And a lot of you are at a point where you're actually a lot more mature, or you're a lot more seasoned than you are physically giving yourself credit for. You're still experiencing things that younger you would have, could have, should have been through. And that's not bad or wrong, but it is something that your soul is noticing. You're not giving yourself credit for what you've already experienced and the energy that you've already exchanged and the things that you've already been through. It feels like overall, this is a group that will undersell themselves before you overly, like, confidently commit yourself to something. It's like you're seeing yourself as underskilled when you're actually overqualified for the role you're currently playing. This translates to many aspects of your life, but they're highlighting friendships, they're highlighting external validation and how you seek to be seen through the eyes of those around you. And that is being highlighted with this Six of Wands reversed. Group 1, Spirit is saying that your soul is really begging for you to spend more time internally, validating your successes, your victories, your experiences, and the fact that confidence comes from within. And it's not to say that you should be isolating yourself, because that's not at all what your soul, what your ego, what your spirit needs. But when it comes to your ego, there is a strong sense of external validation through social media, through friendship circles, through acquaintances, and through being seen in the public eye by association with specific people. Whereas your soul is saying none of that matters with the Six of Wands reversed. If you aren't feeling like a hero within, nobody will see you like a hero externally. If you don't feel confident in your victories and your successes from within, nobody can give you that validation externally. And a lot of what your soul is saying with the Six of Wands reversed is that you are the hero that you see others as being for you. You are the muse that you seek out from others. And while other people can kind of offer you flavor and a sense of inspiration, it's natural actually to feel inspired by other people's efforts and actions. You must also give yourself credit for what you have been through, what you've experienced, and for how you've successfully overcome challenging situations in your past. And you have to be more aware of the fact that you are the hero, you are the main character in your own narrative, and to not let other people have that power over you and decide what your sense of confidence, worth, or validation should be in any given moment in time. And because of that, I feel like your soul is saying that at times you have this ability to make other people the main character instead of putting yourself at the forefront of that narrative. And a lot of that with the King of Cups reverse comes from selflessness. It comes from the fact that you have a big heart, Group 1, and it also comes from the fact that you don't always understand your emotions, and you may rely on others to kind of lead the way there, and for others to kind of confirm how you were feeling or to validate how you were feeling. The King of Cups reverse tells me that there is an uncertainty here between your ego and your soul when it comes to your emotional security and key relationships in your life, and that could be where you find yourself relying on other people so much and relying on what you're being shown. I think with the King of Cups reversed, there is also this feeling of not being able to trust yourself at times and to trust how you were feeling, and so you wait for somebody else to tell you. While this isn't a bad thing, it is showing up as something that needs work, because for as long as you rely on other people, you're again making them the dictators, the controllers of your life, of your outcomes, and of ultimately your destiny, sweet soul. I think with the King of Cups reverse, there is this strong feeling of your soul wanting to be able to be more emotionally in control of the outcomes and decisions that you are making. Your soul is asking for you to trust your heart more and to use your fears as guiding lights towards what your heart truly desires. Your soul is saying, don't be afraid of your fears, confront them, use them, channel them. Channel that fear to help steer you towards what your heart really wants. Because ultimately, if your fear is showing up, it's showing up for a reason. You feel strongly about something and you're either very afraid of how it's going to work out for a key reason because it is very important to you, or because a key issue is arising again. If that is a fear of rejection, we need to explore that and we need to use that as we make decisions in the situation. Your soul is saying, when it comes to your ego, at times you go with what other people are doing instead of what you truly want. And there is this internal selfless sacrifice that, again, negates our ability to trust ourselves and to be emotionally informed in the moment. On top of that, your soul is saying with the Magician here, and the Sun, to be fair, there needs to be a lot of healing around confidence and around you being able to get what you want through the conviction of your actions. I feel like you're actually very gifted when it comes to your communication and maybe meeting all these people and having a lot of experiences that are outside of the box or not very typical for someone of your background and your growing up sort of background. It has helped you become fairly talented with communication. Now, if you don't feel confident with communication, it's not so much what you say, but how you say it. If you consider yourself to be introverted, because I could see that, or you consider yourself to be dual, extroverted and introverted at times, there is something here about using your communication to get what you want, regardless of how shy you are, regardless of how introverted you feel. You are the creator of your outcomes, of your future, of your destiny, and you need to start using your words and using your actions to get what you want. And I'm seeing this specifically highlighted in social situations, in group situations, in which louder voices or squeakier wheels get the oil. It's important that you address your needs, that you communicate your needs, and that you don't just go with whatever anybody else wants because you can't make a decision. The Magician card is saying it's time to start standing up for yourself and using your communication to get what you want and what you crave, which is where the Sun comes into effect as well. There's a lot of masculine energy over here calling for assertive action, confident action, and decisive action. It feels like your soul is really calling for you to feel more like you again. And I think this is about the quality of your social connections rather than the quantity of them. Some of you may have found yourself getting lost in your social scene or in your need to feel connected to something to the point where you weren't really focusing on quality time with quality people. I think your soul is really calling for those soul-based connections, those people that really lift you up and make you feel warm and continue to make you feel warm even after you have physically separated. Your soul is calling for more of those sort of childhood connections, the people that you trusted when you were more innocent and when you had to be protected in some way. It feels like there is a strong feeling of coming home to this group. And I think it would be a good time to get in touch with loved ones who give you that warm feeling, who you haven't connected with in a long time. Connecting to your inner child is very important right now, as that will help you connect to what you need at your core, as well as to your values and to the overall confidence that you may have had when you were a child as well. There is a strong feeling here of being more confident in the path that you take moving forward, and that seems to be about the quality connections that you have rather than the number of them that you may want. I think the closing message for this group from your soul is that a lot of what you are chasing, ego-based, is not bad. It's very much a part of your progression, and you need to appreciate that if something doesn't feel right, there's a reason why. You need to really pay attention to when something makes you feel like you need more instead of being satiated, because I feel like this group has a hunger for something and you always want more and more and more and more of it because it feels like you're seeking an empty energy source. It kind of reminds me of when you become more aware of food and I guess energy. I don't know, maybe some of us haven't done this, but when I was going through my early teens, I've started to become very aware of like my weight and what food would help me lose weight versus what food would make me put on weight. And I feel like that awareness didn't really kick in straight away, but it kind of reminds me of being aware of the fact that you could eat so many lollies and you're probably going to get sick before you get full, because that sugar, that sort of energy source, it isn't really satiating. It's just more of like a craving, and the more you have, the more you want, and it doesn't really get you to a point of feeling satisfied, satiated, and full. It gets you to a point where you either feel sick or you're just in a vicious cycle of being addicted to the flavor or the dopamine, the serotonin boost that it gives you, rather than what it is actually doing for you energy wise and your vessel energy wise. And that's what it feels like in terms of social acquaintances. We're maybe addicted to that temporary boost in dopamine and serotonin and all those other, chemicals that make our brain go, la, wow, this is amazing, instead of actually feeling satiated and full. And I think that your soul is craving more simple, warming, filling, satiating connections, rather than the expectations to maintain all these little things and because of how they may have made us feel. So that is the biggest difference. You have definitely outgrown a current journey, and it is time to consider moving away from certain people and away from certain patterns of behavior to allow yourself the opportunity to experience more. I'm hearing think bigger, dream bigger. There's a reason why your ego is craving radical ideas, radical beliefs, and radical movement, because your soul is also saying you've outgrown this current aspect of your journey with the Page of Wands reversed. It is time to think bigger and to start giving yourself the opportunity to work and operate on a bigger scale. I do feel like this group has a lot of masculine energy around them. It would be very helpful for you to tune into your masculine chakras, specifically your solar plexus, your root chakra for stability and security, as well as your solar plexus for confidence and for activation and movement and decisiveness. Your throat chakra could be very helpful in communicating your needs and feeling confident in your communication, but I am firmly getting a strong sense of connecting to your root chakra for security and stability before being confident enough to act and move forward with your solar plexus. So let's get some closing advice from your higher self right now. What is the closing advice for group 1 from their higher self? Oh, we're going to take, we're not going to take them. We've got to shuffle it again. It's too many cards. What is the closing advice for group 1 from their higher self? We'll take that one. So, your card is Let Love Transform. You should be using your connections right now to help transform your experiences, to help transform your point of reference, and to help transform your ideas of relativity, because it feels like you're being coaxed out of a prison in which you may have unknowingly found yourself trapped in. Love is trying to, and connection is trying to help you transform by looking at what else is out there, by looking at the bigger picture, and by seeking new opportunities of connection and of loving in general. I see 14 as a key number for you. I think that there is a new opportunity in love. There is a new opportunity, an emotional opportunity. And I think with the number 4 here, a lot of stability could come from this. It could be a sense of security as well as companionship. And it could be that secure enough feeling to help you want more. Maybe in previous connections, whether this was friendship or romance or even family, you didn't feel secure enough to want more, and so you settled for what you had and you chose to gain more connection instead. And maybe if you have a lot of those little feelings of social interactions, then you'll feel more accepted by your community. The truth is, I feel like it is quality over quantity for this group. I think it's about seeking secure connections and seeking those connections who help you feel like you are enough and like you deserve to be more if you want more. Not those connections that try to keep you stuck in cycles that you have outgrown. So let's have a look at the 14 card in the deck, because I do feel like there is a message for you. Spirit is saying this oracle comes to you as a living spiritual gift. Whether you realize it or not, you have triumphed. You have blossomed, succeeded, cast aside that which was unworthy, and taken up love's way. How much delight there is from all those that walk this way of love, of life, to find another precious companion in their midst. You are welcomed into this world where love finds a way. There is nothing impossible for love. It is not bound by the mind, and because of this, all manner of miraculous grace works through it in endless creative variety. The great beloved is a show-off, creating with such genius as to be breathtaking. So the last thing I want to say from this is that this card also talks about detaching yourself from expectations of timing, and it instead asks you to trust that the best way to that there's no such thing as a perfect moment or a perfect time, sooner or later. It's just about surrendering yourself to love in this moment and trusting that these things will happen when they are meant to happen. If you find yourself lonely, it is not about filling the void with meaningless connections. It is about creating space for the true feeling of connection to come in. And I'm sorry to kind of project that advice so strongly upon you, but I really want to encourage you to feel comforted and confident in the fact that you are attracting more meaningful connections, and you should not have to waste your time with meaningless, dramatic, or distracting connections until you have that. It feels like this group, listen, your ego knows what's up. Your ego is like, you know what, I need more of this. And your soul is like, yeah, you do, but not in that way. And so I feel like there's not really a conflict. It's more about you're really just a human, trying your best, feeling your way through this, and you're doing a great job. There is synergy here between your ego and your soul, but there's a lot more depth and wisdom within your soul and within your higher self's ability to see why you are craving love and connection right now. So tune in to that energy and trust that your ego is still connected. You are one being with varied layers, and your ego is the human part of you that is craving experiences. There is no wrong or right. There is simply experiences. And I feel like you are on the right path, sweet, so I don't want you to feel like you're doing anything wrong. I want you to feel like things are moving forward and progressing accordingly. And I want you to also feel like this thing that we call love is working out for you, and that you can have what you desire. It's just about making sure that energy-wise, you are open to receiving the right thing, and you're not overstimulated by too many little distractions instead. Now, I want to put these cards away, and we're going to have a look at what Spirit wants me to address in your extended reading. For that, I'm going to use your Animals Orion's deck again. Spirit, what do you want me to address in Group 1's extended reading? What should we have a look at in Group 1's extended reading? Oh, we have the Empress coming out for you. Oopsie daisy. And we have the Knight of Wands. What else? We have the Five of Cups. Oops, we got to take them all. We have the Two of Swords. We have the Ten of Pentacles. So real quick, I am going to get my phone out and record this because I want to make sure that I am addressing all of these things in the extended. I'm going to take a break between this part of your reading and the extended reading. You have the Six of Wands at the back of the deck there. So let me pull out my voice recorder. So The main message that I'm getting is we need to talk about a family issue for this group. It could be that you're at a distance to family, or there are concerns about family structures. We're going to talk about that real quick and see what Spirit wants us to know. On top of that, we're going to have a look at your legacy with the Ten of Pentacles, where this is all leading to in terms of your material legacy, which does include your finances, but it's more about career and the imprint that you leave behind. It feels like some of you were very nervous when I was talking about the Two of Pentacles and the fact that your ego is making decisions that aren't long-term based, even though you have intentions that are long-term based. So we're going to have a look at what your legacy is and what your future has in store when it comes to your material legacy. We may also be channeling the best career for you under that as well, because it feels like Spirit wants to talk to you about ideal careers if you are feeling a bit directionless at the moment or at a crossroads in terms of money-making careers. Now, on top of that, there seems to be a message about passion, and I think that that is linked to your Ten of Pentacles material legacy, but if it isn't, we need to talk about it anyway. This Knight of Wands is talking about a new passion and finding yourself excited again, and like you have a sense of purpose again. So we're going to talk about what your sense of purpose will be, or where this energy is kind of pulling you, because maybe subconsciously you're feeling restless, but you don't consciously know what to do with this restless energy. We are also having a message about your mother here with the Empress. That could be the family member that Spirit wanted me to talk about, but there is an idea of just quickly checking up on your mother and seeing where they are at. Outside of that, the Empress for you is embodying fertility and growth in general, and this doesn't feel like it's about money. It feels like it's about something else. So we'll talk about that. We'll have a look at what this Empress fertility is for you, what kind of opportunities that will lead to, and what you are growing specifically. What does fertility mean? Are we looking at a child? Are we looking at a business endeavor? Are we looking at a lifestyle change in which you enter a new era of abundance? Let's have a look at it. I can't pick that up based on this part of your reading. We'll address it in your extended. Next, with this Five of Cups, I feel like Spirit wants to talk about your mood and where the recent losses and the recent sadness is taking you, because there is a shift in your energy here in which some of you had to experience a loss or a feeling of grief and letting go of certain people or letting go of certain situations. So we're going to have a look at what that is leading to. This is a positive shift in your energy, and it is preparing you for some Six of Cups moments. So let's have a look at that, what your sense of connection is or lack of connection is leading to, and who you are attracting with that Five of Cups energy. The Two of Swords is interesting. This also talks about a lack of direction and feeling frustrated by a choice and the fact that you don't know what to do or what to choose. In your extended reading, we're going to have a look at what this decision is and what choice would be in your best interest right now as well. Outside of that, we're just going to get a closing message with the Six of Wands of your confidence support and just finding ways to help build your confidence through whether it's affirmations or it might be association, whatever it is. We're going to have a look at what you can do to boost your self-esteem, your confidence, and your sense of victory to ensure that you are the main character and you're staying consistent in your main character energy. It sounds like a lot, but I promise you I can smash it out in 30 minutes or less. So if you're interested in joining me in your extended reading, the link will be in the description box below. All extended readings are on my website. If you are an Amethyst Hermie member, then you will have access to all the extended readings in today's video. I just want to thank you, Group 1, before I say goodbye. Thank you so much for your time, for your energy, for your support. Thank you for your intention. Thank you for focusing on the crystals throughout your reading. Thank you for being a part of this community. It has been a pleasure to read for you. I hope you are able to gain messages of support and clarity. My goal is to just offer you as much information as possible so that you feel informed in your journey and in the decisions that you make in your journey as well. So thank you so much for being here, sending you so much love and light, and I shall connect with you in another video. Bye! Hi Group 2, and welcome to your reading. If you chose the Inkromancy Tarot deck, then this is going to be your reading. Welcome. We're asking Spirit today, what is your ego trying to tell you? It's a very different reading. I don't usually do these readings very often. We've got a lot to cover. We're also asking, how does this conflict with your soul? And we're going to get advice from your higher self as well. There will be an extended reading, but we'll talk about that more at the end. We'll see what Spirit wants us to cover once we wrap up your YouTube reading. So without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? For my group 2, Spirit, those who chose the Inkromancy Tarot deck, what is their ego trying to tell them? What is group 2's ego trying to tell them? We have the 6 of Swords coming out for you. Oh. What is group 2's ego trying to tell them? We also have the Page of Cups. Full disclosure, group 2, I got my ceiling fan on. It is so hot in Australia. I'm not about to sweat on camera. So the fan is on, and it will probably create some background noise, but y'all, life is too short to sweat unnecessarily. What else does ego's group 2, my days, what else does group 2's ego want to say to them? What else does group 2's ego want to say to them? We have the King of Wands coming out upright. What else does group 2's ego want to say to them, Spirit? This is very telling. We have the 7 of Wands reversed. I might get one more card. What else is their ego trying to tell them? We have the Death card reversed as well. The back of the deck, we have the 4 of Cups. I'm going to put some stones around your cards. You can focus on them if you want. I just think these stones will be helpful for you because they feel like your energy. We might put another one here. You need a few. You need a few. Not just like group 1. You need a few. Not 1 or 2, a few. Okay, so group 2. How do I feel about this? Your ego is, for some reason, really focused on connection. And it feels like a lot of this has to do with your opportunities to gain more social interactions. Your ego is very focused on how you can connect more with those around you. Specifically, there's an opportunity here with someone who may be moving away from you soon or has the tendency to kind of come in and out of your life. Not in a destructive way. This is somebody who you care about and they care about you. They feel like a friend more than anything, but they're not going to be around for much longer. It could be that in the new year, they're starting a new journey, they're going to relocate. For some reason, your ego wants to really spend a lot of time with this person. You don't want to miss out on any opportunities to see them. On top of that, your ego is really craving more time around very specific people in your life. You may have a specific friend group, or you may have an impulse to be around a specific group of people or a specific few people. But outside of those few people, you're being very selective with who you engage with. Your ego is purposely avoiding certain people because your ego is not wanting to keep up with them. For that reason, I feel like your ego is steering you in a very specific direction with a very limited group of people socially, and with also the idea of keeping some people behind and in the dark with what your movements are and what you're moving on to. Your ego is trying to purposefully leave some people behind, but I also feel like your ego is trying to show you that the grass is greener elsewhere and that you don't need to stay attached to certain people just because of what you've been through with them in the past. Outside of that, your ego is trying to play it safe and fun and lighthearted. Your ego is trying to kind of keep you open to meeting new people, while also not getting too attached to people too soon. You may be in a position where you're interacting with a lot of people right now, or you have the potential to really build some serious relationships right now, but I feel like your ego is trying to be very careful about how deeply you fall into newer connections. Your ego is trying to manifest, or I want to say present yourself as a very light, fun-hearted person. But I also think that your ego is saying, listen, as exciting as that situation is, we can't get wrapped up in it. We can't get swept away by it. So with the King of Wands here, I can't help but feel like your ego is trying to kind of be 2 steps ahead of whoever it is that you're interacting with socially. And I also think that your ego has some sort of plan for you that is bigger than the people around you right now. And this feels more so about acquaintances, around friends of friends, and around people who you've mentally made the decision to walk away from. Your ego is like, don't worry about whatever that was in the past. We've got bigger, brighter things coming to us. I'm feeling a lot of confidence in your ego, but I can also feel like it's not about proving yourself to other people. It's more about proving yourself to yourself. I feel like your ego is only truly feeling competitive and comparative to who it used to be, rather than to your peer group. For that reason, I feel like your ego is seeking some pretty big experiences right now. You may have some very big plans ahead of you, or you may have the intention to kind of expand your energy in some pretty big ways, in ways that would exceed a lot of your previous experiences, doing a lot of firsts and planning for some pretty big energetic upgrades. I have a feeling with this King of Wands here that your ego is trying to keep your head screwed on straight here so that you don't get distracted by other people and their little dreams. Your ego is trying to keep you distracted by big dreams, big ideas, and big outcomes. With that being said, the Seven of Wands is reversed. So this isn't about trying to be, the best of the best. This is about trying to be better than you used to be. And you're only really comparing yourself to yourself, as we said before. The other thing with the Seven of Wands reverse, though, is that your ego is still trying to play it safe in certain aspects of your life. I feel like this has a lot to do with things that are very out of your comfort zone, or things that you perceive yourself to not be successful in. Your ego is trying to protect your sense of self-esteem and confidence by making sure that it kind of filters out anything that could be not in your best intention, if that makes sense, or that could have a sense of failure attached to it. What this kind of feels like, sorry for the yawn, is that, you know how there's a situation in which someone may say, hey, like, have you ever played pool? Let's say that. And you may say, no, I've never done that. Well, do you want to play? This person says, do you want to play with me? Let's play pool. Your ego is probably going to go, you barely know this person. The last time you did something like this, it didn't end well. We don't need to feel like that right now. Nah, I'm not going to do it, but I'll watch you do it. That could be the outcome. There's a strong feeling here of not wanting to experience either rejection or failure in a public way, public humiliation. Your ego manages to kind of stop you from, and in many ways stops you from taking advantage of certain situations because it doesn't want you to feel like a failure. On top of that, though, this is underdog energy, and I feel like you do miss out on certain things because you tell yourself that you can't do it. I want to say that the Seven of Wands is more about a feeling of shame, though, and embarrassment, and not wanting to feel that way, especially with the Death card reversed. It's like your ego is trying to say, we've made that mistake before, we're not going to make that mistake again. We're only moving forward and we're going to get better. I do think that your ego at times is a bit clouded because it bases experiences, potentially new experiences, off of previous pain and previous hurt. And I think that it doesn't have a lot of grip over this. I can feel your soul intervening a lot, but we'll talk about that next. I just feel like your ego comes from a space of feeling wounded, and specifically wounded from previous feelings of rejection and failure, of being unsuccessful in cultivating something. So with the Death card reversed, it's like your ego wants you to know that I've got your back if something's not going to work out, or if something's going to hurt you in the way that it did before. Like, we're just going to cut it, nip it in the bud. For that reason, your ego may be very hesitant to develop deeper feelings right now, and could be just trying to kind of stay attached in a very light and fun-hearted way when it comes to intimate connections. But let's have a look at how your soul is intervening, because I can feel it kind of pushing through here. How does Group 2 soul conflict with their ego? How does Group 2 soul conflict with their ego? Okay, we have the Lover's card. Yeah, your soul is the one that basically calls the shots here. Your soul is the one. You have a very strong connection to your spirit. We have the Ten of Swords. You have a strong spirit. You know how, I don't know if you guys ever saw the movie Spirit with horses in it, but it feels like your spirit can't be broken easily. You have a fighter's spirit is what they're saying, the Ten of Cups. You got 2 tens now. Interesting. Your ego is desperate to progress and move forward, but your soul is like, the work has already been done. We have nothing to worry about. We have so much to gain from embracing opportunity. I don't know why you're so worried all the time. The Five of Swords. For your ego, some of this pain is still fresh. Your soul is like, we've healed it. We're ready. Let's move forward and let's stay open to opportunity. The Sun at the back of the deck. Your spirit is very free. Your spirit, you have like an inner child that is very active, group 2. And so I think that you're often someone who may lead with your spirit, your soul. I don't know if you're very ego-based. I think that you have a lot of fear in your ego's energy, but I think that your vessel, when it tries to contain your spirit, has a very free sense of none of this even really matters, because it cannot ultimately hurt me. It can teach me, but it cannot hurt me. Your spirit feels very, very free and childlike. Your spirit loves expression, loves to dance, loves to laugh, loves to have fun, loves to cry even, as long as it's balanced out with connection and laughter. I feel like you have a very free spirit, free soul. I keep saying that, but I'm getting like a lot of dancing, a lot of brightness, a lot of shine. You weren't made to fit in is what's coming from your energy. And I can see here that your soul is constantly the one calling the shots with the Lover's card coming out. You have a lover's soul, a lover's energy. So, and I'm using the word spirit and soul interchangeably, but please don't let that confuse you if you perceive them to be 2 different energies or entities of your vessel. It feels like your soul here with the Lover's card is conflicting with your ego, because it knows that there is more to this than previous pain and pre-existing hurt. Your soul is encouraging further development and decisiveness. Your soul is encouraging confidence. Your soul is encouraging a sense of empowerment behind the choices that you make, not fear and not a lack of courage, but a sense of empowerment. Even if it doesn't work out as you had hoped, you should feel empowered by the fact that you have choices and you have decisions, and that this is your life. Your soul is very sovereign and goddess/godlike. And I feel like your soul is constantly trying to coax your ego to be more free and less restricted. I feel your soul really wanting to kind of be more active and call the shots, but I can also feel your soul being aware of the fact that there are things that your ego needs to process. There are pains, there are hurts, there are feelings of rejection, abandonment, and failure that your ego is still processing. Your soul has a lot of energy gained from your social circle. Your soul is gravitating towards these people just like your ego is, for a specific reason. Your soul understands a kindred energy to the people that are in your life right now, and your soul is craving more of that. And so there is this feeling of your soul steering your ego towards specific people and to kind of bait you with their energy in a very material way, whether it's because you find them very attractive, or you're attracted to their confidence, or you find them very fun and easygoing and nice to be around. Your soul sees a kindred energy to those around you that you interact with socially. Your soul also, with the Ten of Swords, is trying to teach your ego that this pain is always temporary. There is always endings, because there are always new beginnings, and life is about change and progress and development and growth. Your soul is conflicting with your ego right now, because there is a sense of betrayal that is limiting your ego's ability to embrace opportunity, where your soul is like, listen, this had to happen. We appreciate that this pain was inevitable, and unfortunately it had to get to this ending so that we could embrace some new, more meaningful opportunities. What we wanted was not meant for us. With the Ten of Cups reversed, your soul is craving a deeper sense of connection than what your ego is currently entertaining. And because of that, I feel like your soul is really encouraging your ego to be more expressive with this Page of Cups, to be more emotive and honest about how you feel. with those around you. If somebody asks you, hey, group 2, what are you going through? What have you been doing? How were the holidays? You know, what's your family up to? What are you up to? Your soul is begging for you to be more open and reciprocal and giving in general when it comes to love, because I feel like your soul is noticing that there needs to be more depth in your intimate connections. There needs to be more intimacy in your intimate connections. Your soul is craving deeper connection though, and so I think your soul is even looking at the ending of some of these fickle connections in order to embrace a deeper sense of family and that real loyal ride or die energy. Outside of that, if you believe you already have that, I can strongly feel like your soul is saying we need more time with that person. We need to feel more connected to them. We need to be more open, and we need to be there for them more as well. With this Ace of Pentacles, I can feel your soul saying, listen, there is a beautiful opportunity presenting itself to you. Don't take it for granted. You know, don't see it as just something that is a distraction or that's going to undo all of the work and potentially hurt you again. You need to look at this as something that could really benefit you in the long term, that could help you grow, that could help you become more of the person that you want to be with this Ace of Pentacles. And I do think that your soul is strongly encouraging growth and planting seeds right now. Your soul is encouraging you to think more long term, to think more about commitment, stability, and longevity, while your ego is still putting it as a faraway plan that will take time. Your soul is like, this thing can start today. So there is this conflict between your soul recognizing the fact that it takes time to grow that success that your ego is wanting, and we should start today, where your ego is still in strategizing mode, planning mode, thinking ahead and going one day, one day, one day. Your soul is like today. With the Five of Swords reversed, I can feel an energy here of trying to break a cycle of procrastination and self-sabotage. But I do think that this Five of Swords reversed is more about you knowing when to walk away from people, from commitments, and from situations that aren't in your best favor. Mostly because this Five of Swords reversed refers to a win or lose outcome, and this is when we are having to sacrifice something for our own expense, for the success of others. So I think that your soul is trying to highlight in imbalanced situations in which more is expected of you in order to get the job done, or in order to maintain that situation, that partnership, that connection, that responsibility. It feels like your soul is wanting to just be free and sovereign and autonomous, and is constantly conflicting with your ego, who is very attracted to certain people for specific things. And I think your soul is constantly having to put you in place by checking, like, hang on a minute, we like the way they make us feel, but do they treat us the way we deserve to be treated? And we can't change how we feel, but is this what we want long term? And is this going to make us happy long term? I feel like your ego is pointing out someone's behavior and how it's very one-sided at the moment, in terms of them maybe offloading onto you or expecting you to do things for them without them giving back to you. And just your soul is really wanting to explore the depths of your current connections and how they can become more intimate. So that's what I'm seeing in terms of how they conflict. I feel like this is a very quick reading for you. We're going to get some advice from your higher self now, group 2. I can't control the pace of these readings. They just come as they are meant to. What is the advice for group 2 from their higher self? What is the advice for group 2 from their higher self? Okay. The card that wants to come out is the Impossible Made Possible from the Rumi Oracle deck. There are messages in the Oracle book that I'm going to read for you, but at the back of the deck we have one. I definitely feel like your higher self is trying to call in a sense of inner peace and inner union, but I can also feel you calling out to meaningful people for meaningful connections. I feel like this group, listen, If you are feeling alienated or like you've been waiting to come into union with someone who gets you, whether that's on a friendship level or a romantic level, I feel like your higher self is really trying to build up that confidence so that you can embrace and appreciate this person when they come in and see them for who they are and recognize them as a kindred spirit. Your ego is very aware of what you're attracted to and what makes you feel secure and what makes you feel insecure. But your soul is the one that is really aware of the fact that, hey, there's a kindred energy here. And your higher self is really trying to pull in those kindred energies by making it more obvious to you in the moment. But let's have a look at the impossible made possible. Pay attention to synchronicities I'm hearing. Pay attention to the fact that certain people coming into your life feels like a coincidence, because it's not, but it's going to happen serendipitously to the point where you can't ignore the fact that actually some of this feels orchestrated. Some of this feels divinely orchestrated. The impossible made possible. Sorry, my eye is leaking. I just got to wipe that little tear away. Love brings the sea into boiling and turns the mountain into a pebble. Love creates infinite openings in the dark sky and shudders the earth with its magnitude. She spins this great earth goddess upon invisible strings amongst a wildly pulsating ballet of life. Stars are born, live, and die all around her. Life moves in constant flux, and still she spins in her great loving constant pirouette. We only limit what we believe to be possible by our lack of imagination. The divine has recourse to all that is and all that is yet to be. Is there any limit to the resources of the heavens? No. So then why has not every possible dream now been rendered possible? Indeed, manifest in shining glory upon the earth. The human heart knows everything envisioned can manifest according to divine timing and grace, yet the mind does quake with fear, so much so that it will not listen to the heart at times. But what strongholds can resist love? It is like water. It seeps into every available space and changes form to survive in every environmental condition. So now you are guided by this loving power to drop the doubt, shed the incredulity, and open up the mind. Allow your imagination to be inspired as though you were a child in a great garden, hearing the breath of the wind in the wind of the earth in the wind-whipped leaves, and the voices of the ancestors in bird song. So there's a strong feeling here of believing in the impossible and seeing it happen before you and believing what you're seeing. I feel like your higher self is saying, as fantastic as what you want sounds, it is not impossible. There is a reason why your ego is feeling drawn towards such grand ideas, such big plans, such fantastical outcomes. And there is also a reason why your soul is steering you towards this direction. However impulsive it feels at times, it's actually very well thought out and very carefully orchestrated. I feel like your higher self is asking for fluidity right now, this feeling of being able to go with the flow where you can, to allow for those serendipitous moments to take hold. I feel like this group especially is going to have a bit of a spontaneous shakeup. Whether you consider yourself to be a spontaneous person or not, there are things happening around you for you to be able to experience things that you couldn't possibly orchestrate yourself. That's the beautiful energy of spontaneity and serendipity. It happens when we are simply in the moment. So your higher self is really encouraging you to allow any changes and transitions that have happened recently to help you remain open-minded about your future and about the choices that you can make about your future. Your higher self is encouraging optimism as you see opportunity so that you don't accidentally project previous failures onto new opportunities. Let's have a look now really quickly at what we should be covering in your extended reading. I'm just going to pack this up, and this is the part where I record myself because I don't want to forget what we're covering in your extended reading. So let me get my phone out real quick. Louder. All right. Spirit, what should we be covering in Group 2's extended reading? What should we be covering in Group 2's extended reading? What do you want to talk about in Group 2's extended reading? We have the Six of Cups. We also have the Two of Pentacles. What should we be covering in Group 2's extended reading? We have the Chariot. I'll get one more card. And we have that King of Wands coming out again. At the back of the deck, we have the Lover's card reversed. So let's start recording. Group 2, in your extended reading, the main thing I want to talk about is your decision making and what big decisions you could be facing in the near future, how these will play out, and what you need to know so that you feel more confident and informed in the choices that you're making. There's a huge decision that you have to make. I want to look at it and figure out how you can get to the best possible outcome. On top of that, we need to talk about the Six of Cups, calling in a soulmate. Who is this soulmate? What are they going to add to your life? And how will they contribute to your sense of peace and home? There is a strong feeling here of quality connections and emotional depth, and I think that that is why we have this Six of Cups. But if that doesn't answer that, we're going to explore it as well. With this Two of Pentacles, we also need to have a look at how you can limit distractions and get your priorities aligned. We can have a look at what you should be focusing on right now. I think that should help steer us in the right direction with the Two of Pentacles reversed. The Chariot is asking for you to have confidence and courage. We're going to explore what doors are opening up for you in the near future, because I think that that comes hand in hand with this big decision you have to make. But the Chariot is also talking about movement and moving as well. So we'll have a look at what doors are opening for you and what you need to know about moving, travel, or movement in your near future. Lastly, with this King of Wands, I really want to talk about your plans and how you can get the most out of your potential. There's an energy here of being very ambitious right now. Spirit is encouraging confidence and open sort of plans when it comes to think big, basically, and when it comes to your future specifically. But I want to have a look at what this King of Wands strategizing and planning is all about and what you need to know about your future with that King of Wands. So if you are interested in joining me in the extended reading, the link is in the description box. Your extended reading will be on my website. If you're an Amethyst Hermie member, you'll have access to all the extended readings from today's reading. So do check that out. Otherwise, before you go, Group 2, thank you so much for all of your support right here on YouTube. I appreciate all your time and your energy. It's been a pleasure to read for you. I hope that these objects and crystals were helpful in grounding your energy throughout the reading. I would strongly encourage you to connect with the nature around you as well, and just make sure that you are seeking, I want to say, make sure that you are seeking the best version of yourself right now, because you're on the right track. You've been through a lot, and I'm really excited to see what's up next for you. I can't wait to get it in your extended, but if this is where we're parting, I wish you all the best. Thank you for dropping in, and I hope to connect with you in another video. Bye! Hi Group 3, and welcome to your reading. If you chose the Dreamy Moons Tarot deck, then this is going to be your reading with me. Today we are asking Spirit, what is your ego trying to tell you? We've got a lot to cover in today's reading. There's going to be an extended as well. We'll find out more about your extended at the end. Right now I just want to get into your YouTube reading. We're going to start by asking Spirit, what is your ego trying to tell you? Spirit, tune me into Group 3's energy. What is going on for my Groupus 3-pisses? You know what? You guys feel like you need this. I'm going to put this here. I tried to pick objects for every group. For this group, I feel like you need more of the things that I don't usually show. I hope that's okay. Because you're going to get this one as well from Group 1's reading, and you're also going to get the clear quartz tower, because I feel like that is your vibe. All right. For my Group 3s, please, Spirit. What is Group 3's ego trying to tell them? What is Group 3's ego trying to tell them? We have the 10 of crystals, which is the 10 of swords in this deck. What is Group 3's ego trying to tell them? We have the 7 of Crystals. We have the 10 of Stars, which is the 10 of Pentacles. We have the 6 of Stars. Both of these Stars cards are reversed. Ooh, Macarena. Okay. Wow. One more card. Is there anything else their ego is trying to tell them? The Fool card reversed. Oh my gosh. Okay. The back of the deck, we have the 7 of Wands. Okay, thank God we got something to break up all this practicality. Holy heck, my group 3s, y'all are someone that gets very trapped in your mind. There is a lot of logic here. There is a strong feeling of be careful, be logical, be practical, don't be foolish, don't be silly, don't get hurt, don't do this, don't do that, don't fall into that trap, don't listen to what they are saying, don't do this because it'll make you look silly. It really feels like you guys are conditioned by society to do what you can to fit in and to play your part. Now, I don't mean to be really rude, because I can see how that is an offensive thing to say to people, but that is what I'm getting from your cards, sweets. I'm getting a strong feeling of someone who isn't wanting to stand out, who doesn't want to take risks, someone who isn't here trying to be a radical revolutionary. You're literally just trying to make sure that you're doing what you can to get certain things done, and you're trying to not deviate from that said path in any way, especially through the fact of trying to do something for yourself. Like, it feels like you're walking in a path that somebody else has told you is going to be the safest path forward, so you're following it to a T. I really feel like group 3, your ego is trying to really condition you to be very scared, without lack of a better word, scared of failure, scared of disappointment, especially from a family standpoint. Your ego is really trying to make sure that you are always kind of in debt to those around you, instead of recognizing how you have a lot to spend yourself, if that makes sense. It feels like your ego is really just trying to keep you stuck in a place between fear and logic, rationale and practicality. It's a lot. It's a lot to channel, especially coming from what I consider to be a very fortunate background myself, in which I don't have to really entertain a lot of this. It feels like your ego is doing everything it can to keep you trapped in some sort of family expectation, as well as a social expectation to behave and to play a role. I really feel overall like your ego is afraid of letting other people down, and afraid of not amounting to anything at the same time. But what is worse is this idea of looking like a fool and taking risks that aren't going to lead to long-term success. Excuse me for yawning. I feel like your ego, if we examine these energies individually, your ego is telling you that people are more than likely to not always have your back, and you're going to have to work really hard to gain the trust and validation of those around you. I feel like your ego is saying that, you know, there's this energy here of a social expectation to almost bend over backwards. And I don't know if this is a specific friend group. It just feels like there's a strong feeling of being careful, being cautious, and not getting hurt, because I can see with the 10 of Crystals that betrayal is a very real reality to your ego. Your ego's felt pain. Your ego has felt betrayed and let down by other people's actions and by their lack of forethought when it comes to you. Your ego is trying to be very strategic in what it chooses to do and how it chooses to act around certain people, so that it doesn't look naive and it doesn't make the same mistakes that it made in the past. But because of that, your ego is also limiting your ability to say yes to experiences and opportunities that are new, because of fear of being hurt again. from past situations. Your ego is also trying to say that whether this is a conscious thing or coming across as mostly self-sabotaging, not everybody deserves to know your next move. Your ego is trying to protect you, but it feels very protective to the point where it's very limiting. But I think that it does logically stem from this idea that when you do share your big plans and your big dreams with certain people, they don't take you seriously or they don't support you in the best way. So you've learned to keep your secrets and to keep your plans to yourself. Your ego is trying to say that somebody in your area is not trustworthy. You may have to interact with this person a lot. There may be some other tie to them, like your work or your family, but you are not to trust them. Your ego is really trying to protect you from the fact that this person does not have your long-term stability in mind. In fact, they may have already thrown you under the bus. And other people may have chosen to believe that person instead of you when you tried to talk about it. So I feel like your ego is trying to protect you. Unfortunately, it's just a lot. It's very protective to the point where you're actually not able to experience a lot of things because of this protection. Your ego keeps you under lock and key sometimes and really dictates your actions and your communication. I feel like your ego has the tendency to message and run. Like you guys may be very accustomed to ghosting people or just not really responding because you are very aware of when something isn't going to really get any better. Even if, you know, it is implied that an apology is owed, I feel like this is the group that may at times, your ego is like, it's not worth it. Just leave it there. Like, don't even bother explaining yourself. Your ego may at times tell you to withhold communication or to bite your tongue because even though you want to explain yourself or you want to paint the bigger picture, you just feel like you can't trust that person to handle that personal information about you with respect. And so your ego is like, don't bother. Like, they don't deserve to hear your side of the story. They're not gonna honor that private information, so don't bother. On top of that, with these pentacles energies, this practical energy, this earthly energy, your ego is someone who is very aware of people that give and people that take. And I think that your ego is putting you in a position where you may feel guilty about certain things because of this communication or all this swords, all these thinkings, all this sense of betrayal and those heavier thoughts. But on the surface, I also think that your ego rationalizes that by showing you how you are owed certain things as well from other areas of your life. There is this strong feeling of your ego putting you in a place where you feel like a lot of your interactions are transactional. People either message you or communicate with you when they want something and want something only, or you're having to operate in a space where you only really connect with people if you want something or need something. And so I feel like your ego kind of always puts you in this place of, well, careful, like what do they expect if you do that? And it feels very crisis mode. It feels very transactional. But with the 10 of stars reversed, your ego is trying to say, like, there's a lot of instability in connections that are supposed to be secure, especially family connections, siblings, parents, a career. Your ego is feeling as though there's a lot of uncertainty and you always need to consider like preservation and protection for self, because I feel like your ego is convinced that the people who you should be able to rely on for that kind of support and security aren't able to give that to you. So your ego is constantly preserving itself and trying to protect itself from other people's insecurities and instabilities and their lack of protection of you. So I feel like your ego is really out here trying to do its best to take care of you, and it's doing a lot of damage in the process. So I'm curious to see what your soul has to say about all of this. How does this conflict with Group 3's soul spirit? How does this conflict with Group 3's soul? How does this conflict with Group 3's soul? We have the Hermit card reversed. How does this conflict with Group 3's soul? We have the Seven of Swords reversed. How does this conflict with Group 3 Soul Spirit? We have the Magician reversed. We have the Hanged Man reversed. The back of the deck, we have the Ten of Cups reversed. So your soul is feeling very frustrated. Your soul is like, sweets, we need to move out of this space. We cannot stay stuck here. We need to start being more honest. We need to start speaking our mind. We need to start having honest conversations, and we need to stop oppressing how we feel to make other people feel happy. Your soul is really calling for more autonomy, for more expression, and for more progress. Your soul is sick of having to blend to fit in. Your soul is really calling for honest, authentic, clear, decisive, confident communication with those around you. Your soul is really begging for you to get out of your head and start recognizing that this situation is keeping you stuck. You will always remain as trapped as you believe you are. Your soul is frustrated with your head for having so much control over your life in a negative way. With this Hermit energy reversed, your soul is saying this is as far as you can go with your current logic until you change your mind and embrace the fact that you have peaked in this current situation. You will remain trapped in this current situation. Your soul is saying you have gained every bit of wisdom and experience that you can in this current setting. If we want to change, we have to start thinking bigger, and we have to stop seeing ourselves as a victim. We have to allow ourselves the opportunity to look at other things and to imagine a bigger picture. Your soul is really frustrated with the fact that you are so trapped and hyperfixated on menial things. Your soul is like you've lost your purpose. You've gotten so distracted by these menial, mundane, trivial, small things to the point where you're missing what you actually need. Your soul is also saying you are so much more wise, clever, intelligent, developed than you give yourself credit for. You're so much more mature than you give yourself credit for. You're so much more than you give yourself credit for. Your soul is sick of self-deprecation and negative thinking. Your soul is sick of you weighing yourself down through the expectations and the opinions of others. And your soul is especially annoyed that you rely on external forces to guide you when you have everything you need to be successful within your own right. Your soul is especially frustrated with the fact that you see yourself as someone who is constantly playing trickster and sneak. Your soul is like, if you want to do something, you should feel like you can do it without having to overly explain yourself to other people. You should not be hiding in the shadows in order to do the things that you want to do. You should wear your choices, your actions on your sleeve with pride, because every aspect of choice is a privilege. And even if your choices are difficult to explain to those around you, you should not feel guilty for the fact that that is what you are choosing to do right now. With the Seven of Swords reversed, your soul is encouraging you to be more honest, open, and authentic about what you want to do, and to not feel so guilty or sneaky about the fact that that is what you want to do. Your soul is also saying that you don't need to explain your actions to other people. You don't need to overly explain or justify these things to other people. My voice is literally breaking. Your soul is trying to say with the Magician card reverse that you don't need to constantly feel like you need to be 2 steps ahead of everybody else. Just be who you want to be and own it. There may be repercussions, there may be consequences, there may be other people getting their feelings hurt, but at the end of the day, you embracing your authenticity is always a good thing. And again, choice is a privilege. So I feel like with this Magician card reversed, your soul is highlighting the fact that you are in a sense of entanglement or entrapment because you're not seeing how what you're doing is manipulative in an unhelpful way. You have a lot of power and a lot of control over your current narrative, but you're choosing to manipulate that power and control in very limiting ways instead of growth-based ways, instead of expansion-based ways. Your soul is saying that ultimately you are the creator of your reality, but you're using your tools of creation as forms of limitation. You're so good at pulling the wool over other people's eyes and really suppressing and holding these things within. If you harness that energy towards creation instead of limitation, you can be so much further along in the timeline of your choice. Your soul is trying to remind you that you're the creator, and right now you're creating a lot of blocks, a lot of limitations, and a lot of doubt. Your soul is saying that a lot of these blocks are also a byproduct of your lack of confidence, of your lack of communication, and of the fact that you don't speak your mind freely, even when you really want to. Being more open about what you want and what you desire is what is going to be helpful in moving your timeline along, because I see that this is a group that could have a lot of potential for success, but your head just controls so much of your outcome to the point where it's plagued by fear and suppression instead of this idea of things can be bigger and better and larger. I think with the Hanged Man over here, your soul is very conflicted with the fact that your heart is not at all a part of your decision-making process, either because you don't trust your feelings, you don't trust your emotions, or because you feel like that is a naive thing to do, to base your choices and your actions on your heart space. I feel like what this is really stemming from, though, is a lack of trust and faith in your, I want to say intuition, but it kind of comes down to the fact that you don't trust yourself ultimately to be able to make the right choices. And because of that, we're relying on external forces to steer us through our decisions and our decision making. Your soul is very frustrated with the fact that you don't trust yourself, because your soul is highlighting the fact that you are very wise, that you have had a lot of experiences for self, and that you are a seeker. Your soul is saying you are a seeker, and you've experienced key moments, key things in your lifetime that haven't been great, but have been a part of your character's development. And these moments need more attention. They need more, I want to say, more opportunity to be processed and cycled through your incredible mind so that you can observe those experiences as points of wisdom. You are someone who has been through a lot, and those that you seek confirmation from have not had those same lessons, especially when it comes to emotional decision making and rationale. I feel like you're being guided by people who don't even understand the depths of your emotional background and experience. And so that is probably why you're operating in such a logical framework right now, to the point where you're really keeping yourself stuck. A lot of your decision making can come from experience, wisdom, in terms of what you've previously been through, as well as a healthy connection to your intuition through what you've had to experience at a young age in your emotional vessel. I feel like your soul is really frustrated with your addictive behavior and how you may fall into patterns that aren't helpful because it's just easier. And I don't see this as being substance addiction for a lot of you, although it could be. It's also just addictive behavior that we become accustomed to, that may have crisis mode sort of, solutions, but it doesn't offer long-term growth solutions. It's the kind of things that fixes the here and now instead of the setting us up for long-term success and growth. And I feel like your soul is just saying that the reason why we fall back into a lot of this is because we don't allow ourselves room to look at the fact that things can and will be bigger and better. And I think it's really time for you to be able to see, well, look at what I've been through in the past. Look at what I've managed to overcome. Look what I've managed to steer clear of and successfully navigate in terms of challenges, I can do that again. What I'm going through right now doesn't have to define everything in my future. So I feel like your soul is just really frustrated because it's not having a strong position in your current timeline. It feels very neglected. It's always with you, obviously, but your spirit, your soul is very malnourished right now. And there is a strong feeling of you just not being able to water it with courage, with confidence, with certainty, and with trust. Your soul thrives on trust and faith, and the fact that you are giving it room to be a voice of reason in the decision-making process. Your soul is craving autonomy and the ability to help you navigate some of the big challenges you're currently facing, but instead you rely on patterns of behavior that are limiting and on connections that are unstable, and ultimately outcomes that were doomed to fall apart and fail. So let's have a look at what your higher self wants to say now as closing advice. What does Group 3's higher self want to say as closing advice? Okay, we have Sacred Soul Sister. That makes so much sense because this card does talk about connecting with meaningful people and helpful people. And at the back of your soul's conflict question, we had the 10 of Cups reversed, which is a strong feeling of family and happiness and ultimately a sense of deep emotional fulfillment through the connections in your life. And I think with that card reversed, there is a feeling here of prioritizing that with the right people. And I think you need to start being open to the fact that your sense of family can come from many different places. It doesn't have to be blood always. You can gain that deep sense of connection and emotional fulfillment from people who you meet later in life. And I can see that with Sacred Soul Sister. Your higher self is saying, be open to deep fulfillment and connection with kindred spirits, because I feel like your soul is really wanting that. Your ego is afraid of that, but your higher self is orchestrating that. Your higher self is like, we can't do this anymore. We need more connection. We need more support, and we need to feel like we have people around us that are here for us. So let's talk about this Sacred Soul Sister card real quick. There is a valid point of view that we travel this path of our life journey alone. Our deepest descents into the psyche happen alone. We meet death alone and come into the world alone. And yet there is a vaster perspective that we are never alone, and that it would be impossible to really be alone, because we are connected to all of life, and there is no such thing as being alone in reality, only in limited and temporary perception. So your Sacred Soul Sister is your partner in consciousness. Make no mistake, she is you. She is the part of you so great you cannot always see her from your conscious mind. It is sort of like the eye of the dog trying to see its whole self, which is a bit tricky, for as it moves to see its rear, so the rear is moved along too. So rather than through direct perception, the Sacred Soul Sister is met through reflection. She can be received in those moments of rest where great ideas are born. Her worlds are those we access in sleep and meditation, or absorbing engagement in activity, where the mind can relax and drop into realities far more vast than those of daily life and be replenished. To tap into her wisdom, to distill a teaching from the fragmented memory of a dream or a subtle feeling experienced in meditation, requires that you walk with her gait and not the fast-paced, forward-moving canter of your conscious and intellectual mind. Her gait is meandering and apparently unstudied, yet she is a deep concentration to feel for truth of movement, to allow for what is emerging to express itself through her, and she is listening rather than demanding to know, to force, to speak, or to direct. To receive her genius and benefit most fully from it requires a willingness to surrender logic and open up to inspiration, to become empty, to let the mind soften and become receptive, open and permeable. She delivers questions that lead to answers, but not according to demands issued by an insecure and fearful mind. She offers what is genuinely needed and answers the deepest questions of the heart. She is trustworthy, this sister. She cannot betray truth. Therefore, she can be relied upon as a faithful way shower for the heart. So I really feel like this card from your higher self is encouraging more trust. I really feel like this card is encouraging you to be more trusting of yourself and to start spending more time getting used to your inner voice, not the intrusive logic that dictates a lot of your fear-based thinking. That inner voice is a quieter voice, a more meandering voice, like that beautiful guidebook was saying. It's more of a softer, fragile voice, especially when it has been suppressed and oppressed by our intrusive logical mind and fear-based thinking. It takes practice, because what we hear first could be a cry for help, could be a cry of pain, especially when we have spent so long disconnecting from that inner voice. We may need to navigate uncomfortable feelings that have also been suppressed with this voice, which could feel very uncomfortable and hurtful temporarily, but it is temporary. I would encourage a lot of you to practice mindfulness, which could be through meditation. But your higher self is saying that the best way to connect to this voice is through meaningful time alone, and meaningful time getting to the core of that love. That voice emanates from a powerful connection to self that is all connected to love. And in order to get to that core feeling of warmth and love, we do have to sift through uncomfortable feelings of guilt, pain, suffering, hurt, and loneliness. If you can get through all of that and connect more deeply to your sense of self from a place of love, then you can help control your reality with more warmth, with more certainty, with more trust, with more faith. And I really could see some powerful positive shifts in this group. It's not easy. It's definitely the best way forward in terms of being more sure of yourself and allowing more sure connections with others through this confidence of the fact that you are who you are for a reason, and you should not have to bend, break, or oppress in order to fit in. You should not have to sneak, hide, and suppress in order to be accepted, and you should not have to deal with people that are transactional for the sake of surviving. You deserve deeper connection, and your higher self is trying to show you how to gain that from self and secondarily from others. So I'm going to shuffle some cards now. These cards will help us have a look at what Spirit wants me to cover in your extended reading. I'm going to get some topics out. I will also be recording this part so that as I take a break between your YouTube portion and your extended, I'll have a clear idea of what I need to cover. So don't mind me while I just set up really quickly. For my group 3s, please Spirit, what should I be covering in their extended reading? What should I be covering in group 3's extended reading? We have the Devil card showing up upright. What should I be covering in group 3's extended reading? We have the Page of Cups reversed. Please ignore my annoying dog. What else should I be covering in my extended reading for group 3? We have Justice reversed. and we have the Lovers card reversed. At the back of the deck, we have the Page of Wands upright. So I feel, oops. So I feel like with this Page of Wands, Spirit is saying we really need to talk about your sense of purpose and passion, and how embracing a new journey could really be helpful in your development, but also in your sense of vitality, helping you feel more connected to this lifetime. This does look like you embracing a new experience and doing something perhaps that you're inexperienced in, becoming an apprentice of some sort, while also having a new sense of passion and purpose, which could look like you taking up new hobbies or just allowing connection with people who are in similar positions in life as you. I'm seeing 1111 on my phone as I'm saying this. This Page of Wands is more about finding your passion again. So we're going to talk about that in your extended, but we're also, with this Devil card, going to talk about the fact that there is codependent and unhelpful patterns of behavior that are being transferred from situations to situations, from people to people, and we're going to have a look at how to break free from these oppressive cycles, these oppressive patterns of limiting behavior. I feel like the Devil card embodies the fact that your ego has a very strong hold on your soul's journey in this lifetime, and we're going to have a deeper look at why and how we can break free of that and be more in control. The Devil card doesn't always represent negativity, but it definitely, in your case, is a form of oppression. And while it is good to experience things, I do see that a lot of your experiences end up having oppressive holds on you in your future. What you've been through in your past seems to have a very heavy hold on how you experience things in the present. So let's talk about that and have a look at how we can get you feeling more in control of that. Now, with the Page of Cups reversed, I feel like this is about a person in your life that you may have felt you let down or they let you down. We're going to have a look at your connections and at your more meaningful connections. We're also going to have a look at why certain connections haven't been able to progress forward in the way that you had hoped. I feel like the goal here with the Page of Cups reversed is more emotional security in the connections around you, and trying to find a sense of connection and belonging in the people that are around you. So we're going to have a look at who your real ride or dies are, who is worthy of you investing time and energy, and who we need to consider walking away from. With the Justice card reversed, we're going to look at how we can get you out of an unfair situation that you're in, how we can restore balance and peace and justice, and what this looks like moving forward. It may require some advice on how to successfully navigate the way out, or it may require advice on how to restore this partnership or this contract so that it is more in your favor. We'll see what the best possible outcome for that is. We'll see how we can get you out of that unfair situation. With the Lovers card reversed, Spirit also wants to talk about the meaningful relationships in your life, what you have to look forward to next, as a way of reinstilling hope in the fact that the choices that you're making can lead to more successful relationships. But we also want to talk about your confidence and your decision making with that card, and how you can get further along by feeling more empowered, and by feeling like, okay, so all of this is going to lead to something better. I'm not just putting in this energy into myself for nothing. So where is it all leading to? So if you feel called to join me in the extended reading, if those topics feel like they will be helpful for you, the link to your extended reading is in the description box, Group 3. All extended readings from today's video are on my website. If you are an Amethyst Hermie member, you will have access to all the extended readings from today's video on my website. Thank you so much, Group 3, for joining me in today's video. I appreciate all your time, your energy, your support. I hope this reading was helpful for you. I hope it did clarify things and bring you that bigger picture perspective that I was hoping to give you. I hope it did confirm some of the things that you may need to focus on, while also help you feel equipped with the right information to be able to make some of those big moves. I wish you all the best in the future, and with this next stage of your journey that you're on, you got this. Things can and will get better, sweet soul. You deserve better, and I really feel like Spirit has bigger plans for you with all these major arcana cards. So I'm curious to see what we can uncover in your extended. If this is where you are leaving me, thank you so much for your time, your energy, your support, and I wish you a prosperous, successful, abundant, happy, joyful life ahead. Look after your beautiful self, and I shall connect with you in another video. Bye!